there, and welcome to Not Now in Theaters. My name is Will Turntail, and I'm a writer and film fan from California. This episode is about 1989's science fiction/horror film Leviathan. A bit of a tricky word for a movie. Part of the 1980s underwater movie craze, Leviathan bricked it at the theaters, but has some fans out there online. It's a creature feature with a fun cast and some serious talent in the production. Names I am confident you will recognize, like the special effects master himself, Stan Winston. Some enjoy this film and consider it an overlooked piece of 80s monster action. Others, an Alien and The Thing ripoff that didn't land. Impressed by the cast and crew, I decided to settle the question of whether this was a worthy watch for me. And the results were, well, as messy as any underwater movie seems to get. Just before we start, here is a reminder that making films is hard and you have to respect that. So any criticisms are meant to be constructive. Also, my reviews can contain spoilers. I'll do my best to call them out for you if they come up. All right, let's go. Leviathan 1989 review, a watered-down creature feature. Leviathan asks if its characters can escape an aquasapien creature. Today, you question if the monster movie all-stars that made it could swim through saturated genre waters and come out with something lean, clean, and new. The film is part of the strange 1989-1990 underwater movie craze that saw no less than 5 releases. This picture joining Deep Star 6, Lords of the Deep, The Abyss, and The Rift. Leviathan only trod water in ticket sales, hitting approximately $19 million on an approximately $21 million budget, and promptly sinking into the forgotten movie bin. But the long arms of the internet seem to have wrapped themselves around the sobbing, lonely Leviathan. They've hugged it and told it, no, you're a discarded gem. And the fan love is not just loyalty to the film's star, cult movie icon Peter Weller, star of RoboCop and The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, among others. It's harder to call Leviathan a cheap ripoff, the under-the-sea alien, or The Thing targeting easy bucks when you see its crew. A joint project of De Laurentiis Productions and longtime producers Larry and Charles Gordon, it's directed by George Cosmatos, director of Tombstone and Rambo 2. Oscar-nominated cinematographer Alex Thompson was director of photography. None other than all-time great Stan Winston, who worked on Predator, Aliens, Terminator 2, among others, was on board for special effects. And legend Ron Cobb, famous for his work on Alien and Star Wars, was on production design. The venerable Jerry Goldsmith from Alien in Chinatown composed the score. And the film was written by David Peoples, the author of Unforgiven, and Jeb Stewart, who co-wrote Die Hard. So with all this crazy talent behind it, is Leviathan a good movie? And how many undersea references can I write into this show? Let's find out. The plot of Leviathan. You don't need story instructions for a creature feature, but due diligence demands I let you know the more specifics of this one's wiles. When a tri-oceanic corp underwater mining crew, led by geologist Stephen Beck and supported by Dr. Glenn Doc Thompson, finds a sunken Russian ship, the miners bring back some of the dead crew's belongings. Unbeknownst to the group of miners, the Russian crew's things are tainted with a potent mutagen, and not the groovy Ninja Turtles super strength kind. As some crew are turned into deadly half-sea life things, a battle for survival begins. Will the crew escape? And to take you through the cast here, geologist Stephen Beck is played by Peter Weller. Dr. Glenn Doc Thompson is played by Richard Crenna, the Colonel from Rambo movies. Amanda Pays plays Elizabeth Willie Williams. Daniel Stern plays Buzz Sixpack Parrish. And Ghostbuster himself, Ernie Hudson, plays Justin Jones. And you can read the rest of the main cast here in the transcript. And if you'd like to get a feel for the movie's tone and atmosphere before we do the review here, you can watch the trailer for Leviathan with the YouTube link at the top of the transcript on Scream Factory TV. And no, the movie doesn't feature some kind of Iron Man rescuing a woman who wore a thong to the ocean's depths, as this thumbnail implies. So let's get into the things I liked about this movie. First up, I want to point out the so-called lived-in sci-fi interiors. There's nothing second-rate about the quality of the sets and props, which capture that all-important lived-in sci-fi aesthetic of films like Alien or Outland. Like a rundown steel palace, the crew constructed a claustrophobic play space for monster mayhem. It's complete with a slow-moving, occasionally stalling, hydraulic entry-exit platform, the elevator gate to the water, which is handy for scary moments. Props like the diving suits have the clunky bulk and weight of believability, with nifty little light-up screens that tell the audience each diver's name. So I'll award 4 points for the sets and props. Next up, let's talk about the movie's monster. Or I guess it is monsters. While the creatures aren't sublime people digesters that will haunt you for years, they're not out of the shabby prop shack out back. There's a combination of eel-like terrors and tentacles and some body horror, as some have pointed out, with a Lovecraftian vibe. But it's not A-game stuff. We can only give these props so many points. After looking the part for most of the film, the big guy stalking the crew proves to be just a grumpy Gus when it's out of the water. It fits more like a ridiculous enemy in an episode of Power Rangers than a horror movie. And the monsters lack defining tactics or features to give them personality. Think the protruding mini-mouth and scuttling of a xenomorph in Aliens. So 3 points for the monster designs. Next, characters Beck and Willie are the movie's little love interest. The downside is that you know their attraction is giving them plot armor, but it is written in a less contrived way than you'd think. Their flirting is set up when Willie asks Beck what a geologist is doing down in the ocean's depths managing a mining crew. And while the remaining blue-collar group sees Beck as a wimp out of his depth, Willie, on her way to astronaut training school, sees his qualities and empathizes with his situation. It's a well-written scene that features the chemistry of actors Peter Weller and Amanda Pays. But enough of the good things. Let's get to where I thought the movie could have improved. And for our first section, there are some spoilers here. So if you don't want to hear them, you can skip ahead or use the chapter skip. Six Pack, a nickname presumably not for his stunning abs, but for gulping down the movie's choice product placement of Pepsi, is the all-too-obvious patient zero of the movie. As you witness Six Pack's antics, you only wish they killed him off sooner. This time, actor Daniel Stern, the tall crook from Home Alone, plays a different sort of wet bandit, a pervert stuck at the bottom of the ocean. Six Pack's nastiness hovers over the first approximately 25 minutes of the film like a toxic KY cloud. He busies himself openly staring at his coworkers' breasts or quipping about the sex-like implications of pipes entering holes as they work. But just in case you didn't pick up on these not-so-subtle clues, Greasy Six Pack proudly shows up in his boxers and robe. Wishing the rest of the crew a good night, he retrieves one of his porno magazines, strangely stored in the common area instead of his room, for his obvious pre-bedtime spank and wank session. Sex jokes can work, like Shane Black's Rick Hawkins in Predator crudely joking about a vagina so large it echoes, but this character is mind-numbingly juvenile. So we'll deduct 2 points for Six Pack. And in case it's not clear, I'm not digging out the actor Daniel Stern for the problems. I blame this on whoever was writing these lines or watching this and thought, yeah, let's put in the movie like this. Now we have to talk about the monster lag. When you're a sophisticated, wait, this is like an art house film like Alien, you can afford to take your time, build your characters, and get to the monster when you get around to it without losing your audience. Leviathan doesn't have that privilege, and it sins by shipping its monster priority mail over same-day express. Or for those who don't go to the post office, it takes too long to get to the beast. So 1 point off for the monstrous delay. And now I wonder what the movie's high point was supposed to be. Ripley and a power loader versus the alien queen in Aliens, the defibrillator or blood test scene of The Thing, Dutch's showdown with the Predator. Great scenes and sequences make movies. And while I didn't expect this film to live up to the all-time great sci-fi horror, there was enough budget to make you think a memorable set piece or two could happen. But it doesn't! There's a moment where the crew gears up with cutters and axes, shot and edited like an action film montage. But it doesn't pay off in a memorable, harrowing sequence of terror or excitement. So another boo bag here and 1 point off. Another problem with the film was that When you sidestep Six-Pack, you see dramatic potential in the crew. Miners Jones, Cobb, and DeJesus are disgruntled with Beck's leadership while Willie is on his side. Doc is a disgraced former medical innovator, blacklisted into underwater tours of duty, ripe for redemption. But absolutely none of that, which the first act and a half set up, goes anywhere. Even a manic film like Gremlins 2 breaks from its pure mania and, as Red Letter Media has pointed out, circles back to knock down all the little character arc dominoes it sets up. Here, those character points are gobbled up and forgotten. So another point lost here. Okay, this last dislike reveals the ending, which has heavy spoilers in it. If you don't want the ending ruined, just use the chapter skip. Many horror films lull the audience into thinking it's the end, only for the monster or villain to return for a last gasp attack. And Leviathan can't resist the trick. And that's great! Like a crowd at a concert chanting for their favorite band to reappear, we know a monster's encore is coming, but appreciate that it's coming. But this finale makes a sudden slip into B-movie territory. After blowing up the mining operation, rising to the surface, and signaling a rescue helicopter, it looks like the day is saved. Even the sharks circling around our three remaining survivors, Beck, Willie, and Jones, can't seem to stop them. But inexplicably, Old Monster Eyes is back. First, the Aqua Beast slays Ernie Hudson's Jones, or at least you think Jones died, because the editing is so awful you can barely tell if the monster is drowning him or was just needing a cuddle that has gone wrong. But then we get the apex of the movie's schlocky turn. As if the writers realized they made a horrific water movie and didn't reference Jaws, they give Peter Weller's Beck a "smile, you son of a bitch" moment. Beck, suddenly the action hero, tells Monster Eyes, "Say ah, motherfucker." He tosses a flare or a small explosive into the creature's mouth and blows him up. And there's just enough runtime for Beck to punch Miss Martin, the corporate lady who sold him and the crew out, to a pounding sound effect fit for a Schwarzenegger vehicle, not the jab she actually takes. For a meek geologist, Beck sure became an 80s action stud. You can understand the filmmakers may have wanted to complete Beck's journey from timid manager to man of the moment. Still, the wheels come off in these last segments. Whatever serious and scary bits the creators were going for earlier in the movie are out of touch with this cheeseball ending. And I would encourage you to watch the Say Ah scene with the YouTube link to Rotten Tomatoes movie clips that I included, showing you this goofy ending. So Leviathan scores 2 total points. On my scale of let's not watch this movie, should I watch this movie, or go watch this movie, I have to assign it my let's not watch rating. I actually don't recommend spending time with it. Leviathan's producers put top-tier science fiction horror talent together and paired them with a capable cast. But while the set designs and creature effects are sturdy, its plotting story and lack of exciting scenes sink the ship. Though derivative, a popcorn version of Alien Under the Sea would have been welcome. But as a sex-crazed degenerate dances his way over your eyes and monsters shrink from scary to silly in the light of day, this is a wet mess that thankfully flushes down the memory drain. Despite the Peter Weller factor in full flow, I can't recommend Leviathan. The Legacy of Leviathan. While I didn't care for it, Leviathan certainly has its fans, enough that the movie has gotten physical media releases from Scream Factory and Kino Lorber. So collectors out there, fear not, you're covered. And presumably this means somebody did some research to think, hey, if we release it, they'll buy. While the film doesn't have strong critical rankings, it seems to be one of the better received members of that underwater movie craze I mentioned at the show's beginning. It's definitely not as good as James Cameron's The Abyss. Still, there has to be some distinction in potentially second place here. I haven't seen those other films and don't think I will undertake the errand. I haven't heard good things. So Leviathan, I blindly crown you second place in the underwater film derby. It's said online that people in the special effects community admire some of the work done here. Still, I don't think this movie was well remembered by the people who made it. That's because it was a shit show of a harrowing production. For example, there was reportedly a strike that halted filming for a whole week and language barriers between the Italian crew and Stan Winston's crew. It's been said tensions existed between director Cosmatos and some of the actors, as well as Stan Winston. Oh, and then there's the fact that actor Hector Elizondo almost got crushed. Thankfully, almost. And believe me, plenty more problems. Again, this is all allegedly true. I wasn't there. I'm only talking about what's been written/said about these tensions and issues. But if you're more interested in learning about what sounds like a tough production, there's an article from the people over at Joe Blow that talks more in depth about it that I've linked at the top. So yeah, making this movie sounds like hell. And if you have ever read anything about the making of James Cameron's The Abyss, that movie had, dare I say, an abysmal production too. Seriously, go read about how awful making that film was. It rivals Apocalypse Now bad. Another legacy of this movie is that you're just asking for trouble if you're making a film that takes place underwater. For star Peter Weller, he was just 2 years off RoboCop, and here Leviathan was a chance for him to star again. So when the film didn't do so well, you'd think it hurt his status as a leading man. But as I've talked about in The Legacy of Buckaroo Banzai, episode 22 of this show, should you be interested, the guy has had a pretty kick-ass career. So I think he recovered. Co-star Amanda Pays was just coming off her time on the cult series Max Headroom when she worked on Leviathan. She is more well-known for TV work, and sci-fi fans know her for Max Headroom and her time as Christina Tina McGee on The Flash, both the 1990-91 version and the 2014-2016 version. So Leviathan is seemingly the third science fiction film/TV show Pays is known for to her fans. Apologies to any actors I didn't highlight here. So yeah, it's all too bad that this film ended up sort of like a bruise. I know it has its fans, but if you put this cast and crew together for a bit better vehicle, perhaps we'd have another widely hailed classic on our hands. Alright, that's everything I have to say about Leviathan. Thank you so much for listening. And if you've seen it, what do you think of Leviathan? Is it just not that great or better than I think it is? You can reach out and let me know on Blue Sky using the link in the transcript. You'll find me as Will Turntail, and it's at not-ni-theaters.bsky.social. And if you like this episode, will you leave me a review on your favorite podcast platform? I'd appreciate you taking 1 minute or two to help me out, and I'd love to hear what you think of the show. Or if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button on the episode for me. Be sure to come back next week. I'm working on an amazing episode I think you're going to love. It's about William Friedkin's To Live and Die in L.A., absolutely one of my favorite movies ever. So I'm really looking forward to that episode, and I hope you'll come back for it. This podcast episode is a production copyright of Over-Egged Media, LLC, located in Sacramento, California. Reference photos linked in the transcript are copyrighted by the Internet Movie Database. This review's factual information was gathered through online sources like Wikipedia, IMDb, or interviews. Misrepresentations and errors are possible, but unintentional. Introduction music, Neon Laser Horizon by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com and licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. And the rest of the music is also by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com and licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. The exit music is called Voxel Revolution, and the additional music of his is Mesmerizing Galaxy and Aerosol of My Love. Goodbye for now.